Imagine if your life were an empty jar. What would you put in it first? The small things that are always around you, or something truly important and valuable? Today, I'm going to share a life lesson that might change the way you view priorities in life. A simple yet meaningful story that will make you reconsider what truly matters in this life. In our daily lives, we often get caught up in routines that seem important, but are actually just minor distractions. This story will show you how to prioritize properly, so you'll never feel like your life is too full or that you don't have enough time. One day, a philosophy professor stood before his class with several items on the table. When the class began, without saying anything, he took a large empty jar and started filling it with large rocks. He filled the jar until no more rocks could fit. Then he asked his students, "Is this jar full?" The students quickly responded, "Yes, it's full." The professor smiled. Then he took a box of small pebbles and poured them into the jar. He gently shook the jar. The pebbles filled the empty spaces between the large rocks. Once again, he asked his students, "Is this jar full now?" They nodded and said, "Yes, it's full." However, the professor wasn't done. He then took a box of sand and poured it into the jar. The sand seeped into the small gaps between the rocks and pebbles. Once again, he asked, "Is this jar full now?" This time, the students were hesitant, but most still answered, "Yes, it's full." The professor then smiled broadly, took a bottle of water, and began pouring it into the jar. The water filled the remaining space, seeping into the sand until there was truly no room left. Now, let's reflect on what all this means. The large rocks represent the important things in our lives: family, health, dreams, and things that truly matter. If everything else were lost, but you still had these things, your life would still be full. The pebbles represent other things that are also important, but not the most important: your job, house, car, and other material things. Meanwhile, the sand represents all the small things that usually consume our time: social media, gossip, and daily distractions. If you fill the jar with sand first, you won't have room for the pebbles or the large rocks. This is the same in our lives. If we spend all our time and energy on the small things, we'll never have space for what truly matters. Finally, the water represents things that seem trivial, but can still add meaning to our lives, like hobbies, leisure time, and things that make life more enjoyable. If you have enough space after prioritizing the important things, you can add these without disrupting your main priorities. After pouring the water into the jar, the professor looked at his class and said, "This is your life. The large rocks are the most important things: your family, health, friends, and dreams. If you don't put these large rocks in first, you'll never have room for them after the small things take over your life." He continued, "The pebbles are other important things, like your job, education, or the home you have. They add value to your life. But if you focus too much on the pebbles, you won't have room for the large rocks." Then, with a more serious tone, the professor said, "The sand is all the small things that we often spend too much time on: arguing on social media, worrying about unimportant things, or getting distracted by trivial matters. If you fill your life with sand first, you'll find yourself out of time and energy for what truly matters. And the water," he continued, "represents the small things that can make your life sweeter and more meaningful, like hobbies, relaxation activities, or simple moments that bring you happiness. This water can be added after everything else is in place. But if you start with the water, you might get caught up in momentary pleasures and lose focus on what's truly important." The professor concluded his lesson with one question: Now, ask yourselves, what are the large rocks in your life? Have you given them the space they deserve? Or are you too busy with sand and pebbles that you've neglected what you truly consider most important? The students sat in silence, reflecting on the meaning of what they had just heard. This simple yet powerful message left a deep impact on them, a life wisdom they could carry and apply in their daily lives. After pouring the water into the jar, the professor looked at his class and said, "This is your life. The large rocks are the most important things: your family, health, friends, and dreams. If you don't put these large rocks in first, you'll never have room for them after the small things take over your life." He went on to say, imagine if you started your life with pebbles or sand. You might feel busy and productive, but in the end, you'll find yourself out of space for the things that truly matter. Time with family, taking care of your health, pursuing your dreams. All of that will be sidelined because less meaningful things have filled your life first. The professor then asked his students to imagine moments in their lives when they felt stressed or overwhelmed. Often, he said, this is because we've given too much space to sand and pebbles in our lives. We focus too much on deadlines, piling up work, or even unnecessary worries, while forgetting to give attention to the large rocks that actually form the foundation of our happiness and life satisfaction. He continued, however, if you start with the large rocks, your family, health, and dreams, you'll find that there's still enough space for the pebbles and sand. You can still work hard and meet your responsibilities, but in a way that doesn't sacrifice what really matters. In fact, you may even feel more fulfilled because your life is balanced. The professor also emphasized the importance of water, which symbolizes the balance between work and pleasure. This water, he said, represents time for yourself, time for relaxation, and small moments that bring happiness. Even though it may not seem important, this water is what keeps us calm and happy in living our lives. Before ending, the professor gave his students a challenge. Go home and think about your own jar of life. What are the large rocks you need to put in first? How can you make more room for these things in your life? If you can answer these questions honestly, then you will find the path to a more balanced and satisfying life. The students sat in silence, reflecting on the lesson they had just received. This wasn't just a story about a jar. It was a guide to living a meaningful life where the truly important things get top priority. Every day, we face choices about how we will fill our lives. Will we let the small and trivial things take over our time and energy? Or will we focus on what really matters? The Jar of Life story reminds us always to prioritize the things that mean the most: our family, health, and dreams. So, as you go through your day, ask yourself, what are the large rocks in your life? Have you given them the place they deserve? Or are you too busy with sand and pebbles? Remember, your life is a jar that can only be filled with the things you choose. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this story with your friends. Let's learn together to fill our lives with the things that truly matter.